Okay, so we all saw the Rick Carlisle Porzingis post-up thing where the dudes on TNT were like, KP should post up more, and of course they didn't know that KP sucks on post-ups. And then Carlisle had a whole thing where he was like, well, the post-up's a bad play nowadays. And I mean, I think Carlisle was really just saying that KP's not good at it, but he found a way to do it in kind of like a universal way. So well done on his part. Now, for whatever it's worth, KP was actually a good post-up player 2 years ago on about 5 a game, so there you go. But, you know, when we talk about the post-up nowadays and the effectiveness of it, the potential of it, and other things, I think it's kind of an interesting conversation. I mean, obviously, pick and rolls and ISOs are the go-tos nowadays. I mean, the amount of guys who run like over 7 or 8 pick and rolls a game and their points per possession on NBA.com for that are like either 1 point or slightly below 1 point. It makes sense. And of course, that means you're giving the ball to Dame, Trae Young, Luka, LeBron, Donovan Mitchell, Lou Williams, Kemba Walker. Like, those are all the top pick and roll dudes in the league, right? That combined with various shooting guards and small forwards and some power forwards shooting an insane amount of threes. You know, we all get this. But is it possible for a post-up guy to still be like the main piece of an offense and all that stuff? Well, I think, number one, how many dudes are actually good enough at posting up to where you can consider that being a thing? I mean, Embiid is definitely the top one. I'm going to be doing a lot of, like, just strict numbers because that is kind of where this gets to, and there's other things about it as well. But with Embiid, like, he posts up 8 times a game, and a post-up from Embiid is worth 1.1 points. And he posts up about 8 times a game. And there's others, like AD is probably good enough. It's just he's been playing a lot of power forward. If he played center, I'm sure his post-up numbers would be better. And they're already pretty damn good at about 5 a game. LaMarcus Aldridge, Nikola Jokic. Weirdly enough, Drummond has been all right on post-ups this season. But, you know, even then, like, Drummond's only posting up 3 times a game. So obviously it's not the thing that teams want to do. And we understand why. I mean, I think another part of it is also you're allowed a lot more physicality as a defender when you're defending somebody in the post as opposed to when you're just defending a guy one-on-one on the perimeter. And I don't know how the NBA can really solve that because it's kind of a fine line, right? Like, you need to allow a little more physicality in the post, because if you call anything, then it's going to be a foul literally every possession. But is it possible that refs go a little too hard in the other direction? Yeah, potentially. Another reason as to why posting up is a little tougher nowadays is because it's just more difficult to make passes out of the post like that. I mean, not everybody is Jokic or Marc Gasol, you know, to where you've just got guys swiping at the ball on you and all that stuff, and you got to be able to make the pass out to the shooter. And a lot of the time with, you know, with how creative defenses are getting, especially because there's no illegal defense rule anymore like there was when Shaq was playing for some of his career and Chuck playing for all of it. I'm referencing those two because, of course, they were the TNT dudes. Now, even then, I think that rule, it wasn't enforced insanely strictly, at least in some of the older games that I've watched. Now, even so, just the fact that it existed probably stopped defenders from just free roaming defensively like they will do now. I mean, teams are really daring players in the opposing team to make the necessary passes to get to an open guy, and it's just more difficult to do that out of the post than it is when you're running a pick and roll or an ISO from the top of the key or the elbow or whatever, you know? On top of, once again, 3-pointers are worth more than 2-pointers. And we're seeing a lot of point guards who are shooting off of no assists nowadays, 2 guards as well. And it just makes sense to want to do a few more of those if they're going to be efficient shots than work really hard to potentially just get fouled or make a 2-point hook shot or something. Now, with all of this being said, if Shaq was in the league nowadays, the post-up would be more valuable just off of him alone, you know? So that is part of it. Like, if some dude enters the league in the next 4 or 5 seasons or something and is just a post-up god, then some things are going to change. I mean, at the end of the day, it matters on just what is the best shot. And if some dude is the next Kareem, then okay, that's probably going to be a better shot than whatever else we can do. Now, even with all this being said, do I think it's still valuable to know how to post up? Of course I do, because especially in the playoffs, teams are going to go at your weaknesses. So in the case of Porzingis, we'll just say him again because he's kind of the heart of this whole thing. If he is not able to attack switches at all, whether it's from a turnaround jumper, hook shot, or whatever else, then that's going to make it easier to defend Dallas in the postseason because they'll just switch whenever Porzingis is involved, and they're going to be like, okay, we're going to dare you to make this 15-footer. Now, if he makes those at an insane rate, then okay, there you go. You're going to win a lot of playoff games if you're Dallas. But if he's not able to, that could be a big thing that potentially knocks them out a little earlier than we might expect. I mean, yeah, you can have him space the floor, but if he's just standing there in the corner all the time, you're not really getting the most out of him. You need him involved in action and stuff. I mean, a couple other random examples. Teams will dare Capella to do anything on offense in the postseason, whether it's make a dribble or beat a smaller guy on a switch or whatever. I mean, teams were doing that to Ibaka for years. Like, teams are going to pinpoint the thing that some guy is not great at, and they're going to dare him to do that thing. And if posting up is a glaring weakness for you, even today where pick and rolls and ISOs and threes are more of the thing, then that still could be a problem for you in a tough playoff series against a good team, right? But even with all that being said, if we took away all those threes and all those pick and rolls and ISOs and we had dudes posting up more, then everybody would be scoring 75 points a game and basketball would be really boring. So, yeah. I mean, the Mavericks, do they still have the best offense of all time or whatever it was? They might have it. Anyway, I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. Do I think posting up is dead? No. Do I think it's kind of dead? Yeah. Could it be completely gone in 10 years? I don't think it will, but it could potentially. I don't know. I don't know what the hell is going to happen. For all I know, 6 years from now, there's going to be like 6 of the best post-up players ever in the NBA, you know? I mean, let's say DeAndre Ayton ascends to some crazy level. Let's say Karl Anthony Towns finally gets the team around him and he can be a monster in the post, and then he's got shooters around him and stuff. You know, Embiid's hopefully in the league 5 years from now and his knees haven't fallen apart. And then maybe with Kawhi still hitting turnaround jumpers, assuming his knees don't fall apart. And then you've got Giannis, who potentially is doing a little more posting up. Like, you know, maybe. You know, there's definitely an avenue for posting up to be a little more of a thing. Also, isn't potentially the top prospect James Wiseman? He's a big, right? Although I don't know if he's really a post-up guy, but he could be a post-up guy. So, yeah, that's all I got. So to sum this whole thing up, I have no idea what I just said for 8 minutes.